A while ago, I played against a player named Celtic that bragged about being number 45 on the leaderboards and running away all across the map to avoid a loss after I demolished his Arverni army. Now, he did talk a lot of trash during the entire battle, and today I logged onto Steam and a player, the Burnt Tree, that I've talked about and played a bit with in the past, said, "Do you know a guy named Celtic Cross?" And right then and there I knew it was going to be good, and I knew I had to get the replay and watch the replay, because this is going straight onto the good, the bad and the ugly, and I'm guessing this is going to be both bad and ugly. So here we have the armies. The Burnt Tree is commanding Rome, and Celtic Cross, who is a very good player at number 45 on the leaderboards, the very accurate leaderboards, is commanding Egypt. And you can see that he is... Well, let's just have a look at his army. He has 6 Egyptian slingers, he has 3 Royal Thorax swords, he has 6 Carrion Axemen, he has 4 Egyptian cavalry, and 1 Ptolemaic cavalry. For Rome, we have... Oh, this is going to be a bit hard to count, but okay. We have a mix of Astati, of Principe, Auxiliary Balearic Slingers, and Triarii. So we have a very nice Polybian era Roman army, and I quite like seeing these armies used more. Very nice. They can be a lot of fun to play with, a lot of fun to roleplay. And I quite like Celtic Cross's army as well. Sort of a themed army with Carrion Axemen and native Egyptian slingers, native cavalry. So not bad. Some Galatian swords there on the flanks. But the Royal Thorax swords against Rome, not really sure about them, because they have... If you compare the melee attack of the Royal Thorax swords, it's essentially the same as the Principe. It's actually lower than the Principe. They have more weapon damage, but decent tanky units. But against Rome, I would never bring Royal Thorax swords. So they're just moving up here. Probably a good idea to keep the moving around to a minimum on this map. You can see his units are already becoming active, because... So they are getting more fatigued because they are running around on a snow map. And this Egyptian army could work against Rome here if he could, for example, put his slingers... Celtic Cross could, for example, put his slingers in the forest and use that to shield himself from the superior Balearic slingers. But he's going to have to do a lot of skirmishing in order to take down the Roman infantry, because the Roman infantry is... just better than what he has brought. His shock cavalry could be a trump card, but there is shock cavalry on the side of Rome as well, and also some Socia Equites, so just a beautiful Roman army by the Burnt Tree here. Very thematic, very nice, love it. And the Polybian units, they just, aside from the yellow shields, the yellow shields look terrible, but aside from the yellow shields, and the yellow cloth, I think Polybian Rome is a lot cooler than the Marian Rome. Which I guess has to do with the Punic Wars as well. So the Egyptian units don't look bad either. Quite like their headgear and... But this primary color palette, I don't like that at all. I would have liked to see the Carrion Axemen use more like beige colors, or eggshell white, or browns, more natural hues, not brightly colored stuff like this. It looks a bit silly. But anyway, enough talk about ancient fashion. The Auxiliary Balearic Slingers should beat the Egyptian Slingers any day of the week, even 6 against 3. The Egyptian Slingers are as crappy as they come, but they are also very cheap. Looks like we're going to see a skirmish engagement here. Just going to fast forward until something actually happens. Burnt Tree is moving up, and so far there's been a lot more movement on the side of Egypt than there has been on the side of Rome, so the Egyptian units are active, but it looks like they're able to regain their stamina. Now we have the skirmishing engagement. The Egyptian slingers are getting off some volleys on the Socia Equites. Moving up the Socia Equites and the Triarii on the flanks. The first shots come from the Egyptian archers in this skirmishing from the Egyptian slingers in this skirmishing engagement, and it looks like the Egyptian slingers have the uphill advantage. So this is not the best engagement for the Balearic slingers, because but it looks like Celtic Cross is going to make a mistake here, and instead of continuing to fire, he's going to move. Maybe he's going to move into the woods, but this would be a very good position to fire from. Now he's going to start taking fire from the Balearic slingers, and that was not the smartest repositioning I've seen. Looks like Rome wants to go on the offensive here. There's the difference between how these armies are set up, as you can see. The Carian Axemen are obviously there in the back to skirmish, but there are no meat shield units for these Royal Thorax Swords. The Burnt Tree has Hastati meat shield units that he can use to block the charges of the Royal Thorax Swords. The Royal Thorax Swords and the Egyptian Slingers are getting wrecked by missiles. The Balearic Slingers are doing fine, and also he's not focusing fire. The Celtic Cross is not focusing fire here. Royal Thorax Swords charging into Hastati. The Hastati are going to rob them of their very good charge bonus for a civilized unit, shall we call it that. So the 27 charge bonus is going to be wasted on the Hastati, and it's going to be even more wasted because Celtic Cross has his units on formation attack. So weird angles developing, and now the Royal Thorax Swords are going to get swamped by Principe, and the Principe are going to do a lot of damage to Royal Thorax Swords that don't have their charge bonus. Very nicely done by Rome. In the forest here we have Galatian Swords and Egyptian Cavalry coming up against Triarii. The Triarii should do well there. The Sociai Equites Extraordinari turning around to get a charge on the Egyptian Cavalry, but they weren't able to get a good charge. But overall, it looks like the Hastati did their job, they died. The Royal Thorax Swords got a lot of kills in the Hastati, but I think the Principe should be able to grind this one out. Here we have more Royal Thorax Swords coming up against Principe. Cavalry engagements. The Egyptian Cavalry, looks like the Egyptian Cavalry is losing to Equites, but probably as well because they are being fired on by, they were fired on by the Velites. We have the Sociai Equites Extraordinari. It looks like they were neutralized in the backlines here, possibly due to the Carian Axemen, but I don't see a lot of fire, a lot of focused fire from the Carian Axemen just yet. Not looking too great for Rome, because there are still a lot of skirmishers left on the field for Egypt. But Egyptian units are dying all across the battlefield. The Galatian Swords were attacked by Hastati. Hastati are doing well against the Galatian Swords when they don't have a charge bonus, the Galatian Swords. The Egyptian Cavalry is going to do decently well against the Sociai, because the Sociai did not get a charge. So it's going to be a matter of getting to the skirmishers here for Rome. It doesn't look great, I have to say that it does not look great for Rome at this point. Maybe it looks like the Royal Thorax Swords are going down to the Principe in the center. The Carian Axemen are going to go down as well, and when that happens, things are going to look better for Rome. I'll just fast forward here. So I can just imagine the amount of pure vitriol and garbage that is coming out of Celtic Cross's mouth now, or rather his fingers hitting his keyboard. And keep in mind that I would never intentionally make malicious fun of a player for just in order to do it, just for having a laugh at someone who is bad at the game. We all play poorly at times, but someone who claims to be at the top of the ladder, best in the world, and that call other players bad players while essentially running away in each and every battle that they lose to avoid a loss, those players are up for grabs. I have no respect for that kind of conduct. I have absolutely no qualms about giving those players the kind of ridicule they deserve. Ptolemaic Cavalry sort of getting stopped by Principe, but they were able to continue to move. Now it looks like the superior Roman infantry is going to be able to grind it out very well against the Egyptian units. Chasing after the Egyptian slingers. The Egyptian slingers are so close that they are not able to fire. We have the Legatus taking out a unit of Egyptian slingers. There is an Egyptian cavalry and Ptolemaic cavalry left for Egypt. Let's just fast forward more to see what develops here. So the Triarii are able to take out the Galatian swords, nice kills on Triarii. The Legatus is just mopping up these slinger units. And if I know Celtic Cross the way I think I know Celtic Cross, he's going to use his cavalry to run away the entire time in order to avoid a loss, to keep his precious number 45 on the leaderboards. So the Burnt Tree said that Celtic Cross talked a lot of shit in this battle as well. I have no reason to disbelieve him. I have played Celtic Cross before. He is a horrible player, and I don't mean skill-wise, because I really don't care how you play the game. I mean, he's a horrible sportsman and just a complete douche. And it's not that I really care about it in that it gets to me, or I think that it should get to anyone else. I just don't understand why you would go into a computer game that's supposed to be fun. I have a lot of fun when I play. I don't understand why you would go into a computer game and not have fun and try to make other people not have fun. Then you are a small, sad person. And I might be talking about a 12-year-old here, so if you are 12 years old, Celtic Cross, or if you're even 10 years old, I am sorry. I am a grown man. I have probably been as much of an asshole as you are now. It will get better when you live a little and when you get some life experience. If you are older than 10, I feel sorry for you, and I would seriously consider changing my conduct. And even though this is just a computer game, I think you can say a lot about a person in how they even play a computer game. So Celtic Cross is just running away with his units. He has no intention of engaging at all. He's just running away to avoid losing, and he knows he's lost at this point. But the sad thing is that it's not sure that he has lost. If he just goes for cycle charges on these very spread out Roman units, he could actually still do it. But it looks like he's just going to refuse engagements and not really try, just run away. Very sad, very poor show from Celtic Cross. That's a draw, and it's too bad that that was put up as a draw. The Roman player had the edge in kills, and if we look at the units that were left, it was the Ptolemaic general and 2 Egyptian slingers left on the field for Egypt. Rome had the Principe, some depleted Principe units left, and the Legatus. So you could argue that that Egypt could actually have been able to do this by virtue of skirmishing and charging with shock cavalry. It's entirely possible, but the thing is, during the battle, Celtic Cross talked mad shit to the Burnt Tree and said that Polybian Rome is OP. He actually said that the Polybian Roman roster is overpowered. So Rome without evocati, without veteran legionaries, without legionary cohorts, is overpowered. You can't make this shit up. And if you look at this Roman army, it's a very balanced army. It has 4 skirmishers, it has 4 cavalry, it has only 4 hastati, and 5 principe. So it's by no means a spammy army. It's a nice balanced Roman army. And the thing that Celtic Cross was mad about was that the Principe, costing 690, beat his Royal Thorax swords. And there were a lot of things he didn't understand about the game in the game against me, where I beat Oathsorn with Hoplites. I beat Oathsorn with Hoplites by also charging in with cavalry, with shock cavalry, robbing the Oathsorn of their charge bonus, and then knocking them down, sending the Hoplites in to finish off the remaining Oathsorn. And the Burnt Tree played beautifully here with his hastati. He used his hastati to absorb the charge. The Royal Thorax swords used their very good charge bonus against the hastati, and then the Principe were able to basically go in and dominate the Royal Thorax swords. So that's why that happens. That's why you just don't send your elites mindlessly towards the enemy lines like Celtic Cross does. So good luck on your climb on the leaderboards, Celtic Cross. I know you'll make it past number 40 someday if you just drop pack enough, and if you just run away enough to avoid all the losses you're going to get, then you'll be fine. And Burnt Tree, thanks a lot for sending me this battle. It was awesome hearing that I'm not the only one that has had the pleasure of facing the scholar and the gentleman that is Celtic Cross. Thanks for watching. See you again on the battlefield.